It is a special Monday here in Philadelphia. The Eagles have won the NFC Championship and are on their way to the Super Bowl. So everyone in Philadelphia is extra excited. I'm excited to be on Talking Nachos, where we share with you tips to help you increase success, decrease stress, and most of all, reduce crying inside. We have an amazing guest for you today. But before we get started, I want to remind you that in Center City, Philadelphia, this April, my team can put up the text code, is our Leveling Up Your Clinical game. How to buy a practice, how to buy a second practice, what's the deal with selling to a DSO. The amazing Dr. Lincoln Harris is coming from Australia to visit us here in Philadelphia, and we have a fantastic 3-day event. To register and learn more, just text LINK to 215-543-6454. My first guest, I'm ready when my team is ready to bring him up, is one of my favorite people in dentisting, amazing sponsor, amazing friend, works for my offices. Personally, you can put his text code up, text day 1 to 215-543-6454 to learn more about what Jamie does. But Jamie, you've been on many times, but just take a minute, orient our audience as to what you do in your daily day to help dentists do better.
Thanks for having me on, Paul. I love the Eagles attire.
Thanks. I'm all
you
decked
think that
out.
you're a fan or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
So my name is Jamie DiBease. I'm the owner and chief strategist at Day One. We are a dental marketing agency that is focused on creating a comprehensive marketing system to help dentists bring in more of their ideal patients.
I mean, it's so key because they leave this part out in dental school, Jamie. They talk about the Krebs cycle. They talk about how to do a crown. They talk about it, but they don't talk about how do you get the patients into your office. But even more important than patients, the right patients for what you want to do. You know, you help so many dentists, and you know that bringing sleep apnea patients to somebody who doesn't do sleep, it's a misfit, right? But bringing implants to your friend Dr. Matt, that's a total fit. That's a Nacho fit. So the topic you want to bring up, and I think it's really important, is startups. Dentists think about, do I buy an existing practice? Do I start one up from scratch? And I believe there's a myth that if you just start up a dental practice, patients will knock on the door, text you an email to come in. Tell us a little more about how marketing affects startups and what people should be thinking about.
Sure. Well, so you've got your traditional startup that is just, there was nothing there, and now you're opening up a dental practice. I'm also going to add to that, when you are buying a practice that has had no website, no marketing, no digital presence, where the previous doctor built his or her practice in a different way and is now transitioning. So now you're coming in and there's not really a system in place. So I'm going to kind of lump those two together just for the conversation.
Yeah.
But particularly when there's never been a dental office at the location, it's really critical to start having a plan for marketing before you open up the door. We work with far too many practices that are open for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then they're like, okay, now I can breathe and I can start bringing in marketing. Generally, what happens is it takes about 3 to 4 months of building awareness, building branding, anything along those lines in an area. Now, there's going to be some exceptions, but basically that's a general rule. So what I'd like to tell doctors who are getting ready to start up a practice is to sit down with a marketing agency, or if you're going to do it yourself, that's fine. But really, you want to have a full marketing plan of how you want to reach people. Maybe not all the details figured out, but do you want to use ads? Do you want to do direct mail? Are you going to do video? Are you going to use social media? Building that website, getting that up and running. So the website is really one of the key factors in getting up and running. We really encourage our docs to have a website up at least 90 days before you're going to open. Maybe it doesn't have all your contact information, but at least something, because then you can start search engine optimizing that, building awareness around the fact that you're the new kid on the block in a sense.
Yeah.
And so, if you don't do that, it's going to delay even reaching out to more people.
A group from my childhood, Jamie, they're all like in their 50s now, but the new kids on the block. But one thing I want to kind of interject is, and I don't think I would have thought about this years ago. So you're saying, let's say someone says you're going to open your practice on June 1st, right? March 1st, get your website up so people are paying attention to it. What are some other ways you've seen dentists, you help dentists build this awareness before their open day? I know my dentist people, Jamie, they're very literal. So they go, if I start marketing on April 15th and someone wants an appointment, what do I do? I mean, I would say just collect this attention. Say, we can't wait to see you. But what are some of these things people do in the pre-open stage
Sure. In the pre-open stage, you're really you're just like any other business. You're working on making sure that your systems are operational and that you're kind of testing them. It's almost
Yes.
like doing a stress test. So building a website, getting it up and running, at least the home page to introduce who you are, picture of you. Maybe you don't have your full team worked out yet, but at least a picture of you, maybe a picture of the office if it's presentable. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully at that point in time it is. And so just getting awareness. So that lining up a photographer for when you finally do
Yes.
have a team, or having a photographer come in and just take pictures of you and a pretend patient, in a sense, just so you have some content to use. Making sure your social media channels are set up.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram. If you're going to do anything on YouTube, set up a YouTube channel. If TikTok is your thing, setting up, getting those things in place, and then beginning to build the awareness. Perhaps the most important place that you need to do is make sure you get your Google listing set
Oh,
up. This is the type of thing that, although the website is absolutely critical, Google looks at their Google listing as one of the most important aspects of how they're going to determine whether to show you in results or not. And so,
yeah.
if digital marketing is a part of your overall marketing strategy, start that right away. Start getting content. Start thinking about how you can train. I would love to start seeing doctors make it a regular part of their practice where once a week, if they're not huge into social media, at least once a week, you're getting someone on your team to take a picture of you, of
Yeah.
team members, something that's original content. This is not so much a problem with younger doctors, but it seems to be more of a problem with doctors who are much more well established, and it just hasn't been part of their systems.
And I don't know why, Jamie, most of the things that you do on social media can be done for Dennis' favorite F word, not fail free. Because,
Yeah.
while you help our office with all kinds of SEO and we use your marketing services, many of the things you do through Instagram on your stories can just be fun stories you post. And I mean, sometimes I even look at my own phone, I post one on a Pennington Dental, I see 87 people looked at that, we were doing evenly, which was our
Mhm.
clear liner. So I think what you're sharing is such fundamentally important things that are not enough owners think about. And then, this isn't to scare, but to aware. Why do they regret it later, Jamie? What happens if they don't do this?
Well, the biggest thing I think that isn't really taken into consideration for a lot of docs when they're opening up the practice is marketing is not it doesn't work immediately.
Yeah.
Well, let me change it. It rarely works immediately. There's this repetition, there's building, there's trying to gain that visibility online. And so there's a time factor that's involved. It is a marathon in most cases for marketing. Certainly there's going to be an exception, but for the general rule is if you don't have at least 3 to 4 months of marketing in place, you're beginning to fall further behind. And for many practices they're starting up, that 3 to 4 month lag is extremely detrimental for their overall growth.
Yeah.
Something else that I'd love to see doctors doing is making it a priority that when they're going to when they're going to do their marketing, that they have budget that they are absolutely setting
Right.
aside. Come across so many doctors where it's not even a part of their plan, and it's like they whatever their startup plan is, and they get to that point where it's like they're pulling money out of something else that they've already
Which
allocated it to.
which drives me not so nuts, because you can't make any of this happen without patients coming in and utilizing you. So sometimes maybe your cabinets don't have to be as fancy. Maybe the equipment that you purchased could be done later. It is totally mind-boggling to me, Jamie, is that you're starting this business and you kind of think as spending money as an afterthought, where this should be in the forefront. I mean, what you're sharing here is so valuable. As we wrap up, Jimmy, tell people, what does it look like to work with you? You've worked with our boost camp speakers. You've worked with dentists who have practices, startups. When someone texts day one to 215-543-6454, what happens on your first consult?
So during our first consult, I will have already had some basic research ready to go on your online presence. It's part of our process of what we do. So we're going to give you a basic overview of what we see for your website, your online presence, your social media, how your reviews are looking, and just kind of give you a general score of whether or not you have some foundational issues that need to be
Yeah.
addressed with marketing, or if it's something that maybe you don't have those in place. And so the first stage of what we would be doing if we worked with you is really building on what you have. And so during that initial conversation, it's really just setting out a very broad guideline of how we could work with you.
Yeah.
But every dentist that we work with, every practice we work with, it's very customized to where they are and the evolution of their practice. And so hopefully during that conversation, they're going to let me know the goals that they have. There's certain ways that you reach certain types of patients. If you're looking for ortho, if you're looking for peds, if you're looking for restoration, whatever that is, there's certain ways to go about doing that. And if that's what the doctor is looking for, then I can let them know then this is what a plan would mostly be focused on for you.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you should say your dentist, your treatment planning their success in a customized way. We do that for patients. No two teeth are the same, but there's trends, right? Yeah. I love when dentists say every treatment plan is so different. I'm like, do you ever not do the filling? That's usually part of it, right? But I say that in a joking way of saying every plan is customized for our patients, but there's certain trends that people need and probably fits with you.
Yeah,
well.
Absolutely.
I appreciate all the things you do. You bring fun to the Dental Nachos audience. You help dentists cry less inside by bringing them great patients to their practice, just like ours. And thanks so much for joining us, Jamie.
Thanks, Paul, for having me.